The Bitmart hack happened last year, but it's still being talked about because the loss was pretty significant. In fact, just recently, a whole exposition was done on it, and that's what we'll be discussing in this video. What exactly happened, what does it have to do with Binance, and how did it affect the entire crypto market? I'll be answering these three questions and showing you some more eye-opening things about the hack that you probably didn't already know. So, strap in. Disclaimer. Quick, before we get into today's video, here's another quick update about SHIB City, the city of the most adorable Shiba pups in the entire metaverse. In the last update, I told you about the Hollywood characters in which we introduced to the collection. Well, this time around, Marvel and DC fans are going to be excited to hear that their favorite heroes have joined the collection. So, get ready to mince your favorite superheroes, including Black Panther, Captain America, Thor, Batman, and Deadpool. Even the villains you love to hate, like Thanos, Galactus, Joker, and Harley Quinn, are not left out. As you know, your purchase of an NFT helps us to burn SHIB tokens. And so far, with your help, we've been able to burn 2.6 million tokens. But we can do more, and so we need your help. Be sure to check out the description for details on how you can mint your favorite Shiba pup and help to push Shiba Inu to $1. Hey there, SHIB Army, and welcome back to the channel. If you're joining in for the first time, you're also very welcome here. On this channel, we talk about everything SHIB regularly and the entire crypto scene occasionally. There is a backlog of videos on the channel that you can go through for your viewing pleasure. And to make sure that you don't miss newer videos, hit the subscribe button and the notification bell. Now let's get into the video. As was mentioned earlier, an exposition was done on the recent Bitmart hack, and this exposition was done by CoinMarketCap Alexandria. As you probably already know, CoinMarketCap is owned by Binance. So when I hinted at the fact that Binance has something to do with the exposition, this is what I meant. Now, you probably already know what the Bitmart hack is about, but for the sake of those who don't, I'll quickly run through it before we go into talking about how it affected the crypto community. So, as you may know, Bitmart is one of the biggest and most trusted cryptocurrency platforms. It is a host to a variety of cryptocurrencies, including our very own SHIB. So, many crypto investors carry out their crypto trades on the platform. But unfortunately for some of these people, Bitmart experienced a large-scale security breach on December 4, 2021. It was confirmed that the hackers carted away with about $200 million worth of a variety of tokens from Bitmart's hot wallets. And the hack was first noticed and pointed out by a third-party security firm called PeckShield. Speaking of what happened on that unfortunate day, the Binance-owned CoinMarketCap Alexandria mentioned that PeckShield observed an unidentified transaction of $10 million to an address which the scanner referred to as the Bitmart hacker. According to the PeckShield security firm, it is a straightforward case of a transfer, swap, and wash hacking. While investigations have been ongoing, the hackers have still not been identified. However, some other things were discovered. First off, about $100 million worth of tokens that were stolen were the ones built on the Ethereum blockchain, of which SHIB is one, while about $96 million worth of tokens were those based on the Binance Smart Chain. The exact assets and wallets that were affected were also identified, and Bitmart promised to reimburse the amount stolen with their own money. The reason it has to be their own money is because they still haven't found the hackers, as I mentioned before, and so cannot retrieve the money that was stolen. In fact, it might be quite difficult, if not impossible, to find those hackers. CoinMarketCap Alexandria mentions that it was found out that after transferring the funds from Bitmart, the hackers used a decentralized exchange platform known as 1inch to exchange stolen tokens with Ether. These coins were then deposited into an address using a coin mixer called Tornado Cash. Therefore, it became impossible to trace the receiving address. So how exactly has this hack, alongside a number of others, affected the crypto space? Well, first off, it has made a number of people doubtful about the security of these exchange platforms, with Bitmart being the point of interest here. In fact, after the hack, Bitmart had to turn towards an offline storage system, storing about 54% of its tokens in cold wallets. That's on the downside. But on the positive side, hacks like these have made it obvious that exchange platforms have to beef up their security system. And beefing their security would go a long way to making crypto trading more secure. Now, it must be stated that the current problem is not with the blockchain technology or, by extension, the tokens. The problem is with the exchange platforms. That is, it is not that blockchain is not secure, but that crypto exchange platforms need to be more secure. A lot of these crypto platforms are trying to do better though, and it is safe to say that we can expect crypto exchange platforms to be a lot more secure in a few years than they are now. That said, before deciding what platform you want to trade on, make sure to do your research and choose a platform that is as safe as possible. Remember that for the most part, tokens have no control over where they are listed. It is your job to decide where you'll be doing your business, so do your research. This is not saying that there are currently some exchange platforms that'll never be hacked. Maybe there are, but you also want to be sure that even if a hack happens, you can be sure to get your funds back, like the way that Bitmort promised to refund its users. Speaking of exchange platforms, Shiba Inu has added another feather to its cap, and this time around the feather is from Turkey. So a Turkish exchange, BitXN, recently listed Shiba Inu and the announcement was made on its Twitter page. BitXN happens to be one of the biggest crypto exchange platforms in Turkey, as it is home to more than 100 different altcoins aside from the OG crypto, Bitcoin. This goes to show that Shiba Inu continues to grow in relevance across the world. From CoinDCX in India and Bit2Me in Spain to Corbit in South Korea and CoinHako in Singapore, Shiba Inu continues to break boundaries, making itself available to a lot more people across the world. But the good news does not even end there. In yesterday's video, I talked about how whales have been purchasing SHIB in large quantities, making it the 7th most purchased token among Ethereum whales. Well, the purchasing still continues because just recently a whale bought a whopping 48 billion SHIB worth about $1 million. And then there's the fact that we've managed to burn more than 1 billion SHIB in just a few days. So, altogether, SHIB is doing really well. Now on to the bigger crypto scene. At this point, it is certainly not news that the US is in debt. However, what many people probably don't know is just how much debt the US is in. Well, the US national debt just recently passed $30 trillion. That's a lot more than the value of all the bitcoins, no, all the cryptocurrencies in the world. Bitcoin has a market cap of $731 billion, which is very impressive, but it's not even up to 3% of the US national debt. What this means is that if the US decided to buy all the Bitcoin in the world, it wouldn't even make a dent in the debt that it owes. However, some people think that Bitcoin could help take care of this debt issue, probably not the way you think. According to Cointelegraph, an on-chain analyst, Dylan Leclerc, mentioned that as the debt spiral grows, the purchasing power of the dollar will continue to be sacrificed for political interests and Wall Street bailouts. Bitcoin fixes this. From what Leclerc said, it is probably safe to infer that they're trying to say that because Bitcoin is decentralized and so cannot be caught up in all the political and Wall Street battles, it would be practically impossible for a country that adopts it as a legal tender to battle with debt issues. If this is what they're trying to say, it's not just Bitcoin that will work in this situation, but most cryptos, including SHIB, of course. Still talking about the debt issue, the chief strategy officer at the Human Rights Foundation, Alex Gladstein, also weighed in on it. He was specifically addressing what he considers the self-created demand for U.S. debt when he mentioned that genius design of the international dollar system over the decades to prolong market interest and need for U.S. debt even as it gets clearly discredited. Anyway, moving on from the US and its debt issues, a Bitcoin whale lost a lot of money last year. But before we get into that, this channel has a daily giveaway of 100,000 SHIB. For a chance to participate in the giveaway, all you have to do is subscribe to this channel, like this video, and leave a comment below. #ShibaInu. Good luck! Now to the gist. The whale is MicroStrategy, the Fortune 500 company that holds more than 100,000 BTC. And the amount of it lost is $146 million due to Bitcoin impairment charges. The company announced its Q4 2021 financial results on Tuesday, which is why we are privy to this information. According to Cointelegraph, this institutional software solutions provider reported a net loss of $146.6 million incurred in impairment charges on its Bitcoin holdings. The high impairment losses added to the company's operating expenses, which saw a 125% increase at $248 million compared to the same quarter last year. If you're wondering what this impairment loss is about, Cointelegraph explains it this way. An impairment loss is a recognized reduction in the acquisition cost of an asset that is triggered by a decline in its fair value. When the fair value of an asset declines below the purchase amount, the difference is written off. MicroStrategy has experienced a cumulative $901 million impairment loss on its BTC holdings over the last 6 quarters. But this $146 million loss was the company's third highest, and it accounted for 25% of the company's BTC purchase in the same quarter. Its highest impairment loss happened in the second quarter of 2021 when it lost 80% of the BTC that it purchased in that quarter. Now, MicroStrategy has not always had these BTC impairment charges. According to Cointelegraph, MicroStrategy decided to add BTC impairment charges after the United States Securities and Exchange Commission rejected its existing non-GAAP Bitcoin accounting methods. The SEC asked the business intelligence firm to add share-based compensation expense and impairment losses and gains on sale. Through all the losses, though, MicroStrategy has continued to buy more Bitcoin. In fact, towards the end of last month, MicroStrategy CEO Michael Saylor shelled out some more money to purchase more Bitcoin. That is, while some people are scared of purchasing Bitcoin because its prices continue to dip, Saylor seems to be even more enthusiastic, in spite of the losses his company has incurred so far. However, according to CoinDesk, not everyone is so excited that Saylor is buying all these Bitcoin under MicroStrategy. According to CoinDesk, it's not just shareholders who likely aren't happy with Saylor right now. In addition to using cash flow to buy Bitcoin, MicroStrategy has sold debt, some of it convertible, to fund its crypto buying ways. It also recently said that it was going to sell shares to buy more Bitcoin, though that currency doesn't buy what it did even a week ago. Now, you should know that this CoinDesk statement was made as far back as September last year, but the situation hasn't really changed much. The Bitcoin market is still bearish, Saylor is still buying crypto, and MicroStrategy is still losing a lot of Bitcoin it buys. So it is safe to say that some shareholders are still not excited. However, many other MicroStrategy shareholders are still holding out hope. The way they see it, MicroStrategy shares were going for $200 a piece before Saylor got into crypto in August of 2020, and right now it goes for $348 a piece. Granted, there was a time that each share was going for more than $700, but even that can be attributed to Saylor getting into Bitcoin. So, what am I saying? The crypto market is still not performing as well as it used to, but the CEO of a Fortune 500 company is still dogged in his purchase of crypto. There just has to be some merit to it, right? However, please do not take everything that has been said in this video as investment advice. If you're trying to decide whether to get into crypto or what to do with the crypto you already have, please do your own research and study the market. Remember that the money is yours, so whatever you do with it should be your own decision. With that, we come to the end of this video. If you enjoyed the video, then please like the video and don't forget to leave a comment in the comment section. This really helps me with the YouTube algorithm. Also, please share this video to as many people as possible. Let's get this news out there. If you're a true Shiba Inu fan, then you must check out this video.